rather not have to go through all of the steps and dealing with the government to do something like take down a tree and which tree and the expense of having an arborist say you can and you cannot. It's when you get into it, it becomes more and more complicated. So the answer is, the short answer to you is right now there's no tree law and nothing has changed.
Okay. Why is Don still listed as a treasurer?
It's just listed on it until we replace him right now.
Well, shouldn't it be blank?
I'll take it off
We
the
don't
next
have it?
meeting.
Yeah.
Diana?
I wanted to clarify what my request was with regards to ethical behavior. It has nothing to do with public forums like this, and although it could if it devolved into the kinds of things that I received emails about. But this is about all communications that one receives from an elected official, be it an in-person conversation, although those are difficult to document. Written communications are certainly documentable, and any other sort of communication. And yes, there are in other places regulations with regards to how elected officials behave.
Okay. That makes sense. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Ron Longacre, 49 Van Manor Road. Yeah, I know this tree law is, and dealing with people's trees and all that is a touchy issue, and the planning board is having problems with. But the trees that are part of the village right away, part of our public parks, those are under the management of the village itself. Okay, so there it appears the village can cut those trees down as they see fit, right? Wouldn't be part of the law, and so the residents of the village would like to have information at the meetings beforehand, before these trees are that are either cut down because of they're dead, imminent threat of falling on the road, or hitting falling over in the park or whatever. We'd like to know about these beforehand, because maybe we have a different opinion, and we'd like to voice opinion about trees coming down. I say that because I just don't understand why so many trees were taken down here in the park, in Trustees Park. And so that's my comment.
Thank you.
My name is Angie Farlator. I live on Walnut Avenue. First, I'd like to thank you, Jeff, for your comment earlier in the meeting before that you said major official government function is communication with the village, also touching on what you just mentioned. And Mayor, you used the word blindsided a little earlier. I feel constantly blindsided by projects going on by this board. Going back almost 2 years now, starting with the simple thing of a basketball hoop being removed from Walnut Beach, to green space being removed and turned into a parking lot down at Walnut Beach. Up to a light being installed down at Walnut Beach, shining on the beach, which makes it impossible to enjoy the beach at night and stargaze and look at the moon. Also, the light that is ruining the evenings also makes a loud hum. So even if you walk down the beach to get away from the light, you still hear the it's impossible to enjoy that beach at night any longer. Bringing us up to the lovely surprise on a Saturday morning when I went to water my seeds at the greenhouse, that the garden plots were being ripped up. I'm standing here begging you to please communicate with the villagers on major projects. Again, the playground that was the play set that was taken down, I thank you for taking it down, but I'm wondering why there was no community input on what was going to be put in its place. I do not have infants. I do not have young children. Many of the villagers do. the playground that was put up in its place has no baby swing. I can tell it's hard to have a child under 2 and have older children as well. To have that baby swing, to be able to put your child on there, is a wonderful part of any park, which that now our park is lacking. So really, I'm begging you to please communicate with the village before you do any minor or major project, like removing a basketball hoop or ripping up garden plots. And one of the major questions that I have is, are you planning on taking down the greenhouse? There's a rumor around that you are, and that would be a negative action, according to me. So I'm just asking that question. Is that in the works?
No.
No one's planning on taking down the greenhouse? Okay, another comment I'd like to say is regarding the fecal content of the water in the summer, the way it spikes. I thank you for bringing that graph. That's shocking and scary, and I think it's a wonderful idea to put up those signs, and maybe if we could also attach one to a mooring permit application, that the more people know how easy it is to have that pump out boat come and pump you out, the better. And what is the consequence of being caught, which is impossible to be caught, but if people are aware that there's a consequence for dumping your holding tanks in the harbor, maybe that's also an incentive to properly dispose of the waste on board. And my last comment, please, is regarding the trees that are coming down. I understand the trees need to come down. That makes perfect sense. But again, regarding the communication, one of the trees that was taken down in the park here was a memorial for a girl who was my neighbor and who's a dear person to me. She passed away when she was in college, and there was a tree that was a memorial to her that was cut down. Again, there was no public input before.
No.
I was in the middle of the sentence.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Again, there was no public input before that tree was taken down. So I'm begging you, please. I don't want to walk around my village, our village, and feel blindsided.
Mm-hmm.
I want to feel like we are all working together here and we're all making these decisions together when there are projects that are going to happen.
Okay, thank you. Wanna address the board? Wanna address that?
And I agree with everything you said, and thank you for doing that. I just would like to add that before that came down, I spoke to Steve and Stephanie about that. And there's more to the story. That wasn't actually part of the memorial. The seed, I don't want to get into it at this meeting, but I could tell you about it. But anyway, they were okay with it. He had cut it, in the beginning he kept cutting it down. We couldn't stop the thing. It kept growing. And so, and especially since they're out of the community now, they had no problem with it. So that happened before it came out.
I spoke to Stephen about it too.
I have a family commitment that I have to be at. I need to ask you to excuse us.
I was going to say, do we want to do that one resolution?
Yes, we need to do, I was going to remind you, there's 2 resolutions that we need to do. The one is to have a public hearing on a change of definitions in the zoning code.
Okay.
And the second is a resolution.
Well, let's do that right now. Can we
Okay.
do that now?
Yes, so the resolution is a resolution to set a public hearing at the June meeting
Okay.
on proposed changes to the definitions in the zoning code.
Yeah, does that mean that we have to have all those proposed changes ready by that time?
Yeah.
A draft.
You can.
Yes, I'll get it to you
Okay.
within a few days.
Got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
The Mayor. The second resolution is a resolution authorizing the village to send a letter to the New York State Department of Transportation asking for design review of the Route 25A between the intersections of Van Bart Manor Road and Washington Avenue with particular attention given to the intersection of Washington.
Actually,
Washington Street.
we want to go west of Van Brunt as well. It's coming around as you're heading east.
So through the area, through the village of Poquott. 25A, where it
Actually, that would be before Poquott.
okay,
It's actually East Setauket.
approaching Van Bart
Yeah.
Manor Road.
There's whatever the first street is that comes up, you could say from that point.
It's Bayview.
Yeah, maybe.
No.
Ada.
Ada, right.
A second.
Court.
Favor?
Excuse me, who first?
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Okay.
Gary?
May I make a statement?
Sure.
Yeah. Angie,
Yes.
I have the baby seats in the basement. I took them off the old swing set before it was destroyed. And I will get them up this weekend.
Wonderful. That will be helpful, I think, for many.
The thing only went up Tuesday and I didn't get a chance to go over there to even take a look to see if they put them on. But I have them in the basement.
Good, because I have a 1-year-old that wants to wear them out. Okay.
You have a 1-year-old?
Well, a 1-year-old grandson, my friend, so one day it'll be a year. John, on the harbor thing with the signs, I think it's a great idea, but I'm just, and this is just a statement, observation. I don't know if it was last year or the first year I was here in Poquott, went down to the ramp one day and see toilet paper and fecal matter and that, and it just blew me out of the water. I think with our signs up and stuff like that, it's a great idea, great procedure. But I think we're preaching to our own choir because I think all the guys mooring, and I'm just going to speak for the guys I know. I know none of us, I don't believe any of the guys I know would dump there. I think what the problem is, and I might be wrong, the harbor master would know about this, we have transient moorings up around. These guys are coming in from Connecticut every weekend. They
But
hang
they
out
have to
over here.
apply for a mooring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's not so much even attached to our permits, but I think the harbor master, whoever issues, the authority that issues those, should have this on there. And I know there's a huge fine, it's what, $250, $500?
It's big.
It's
I don't know
huge.
precisely.
And it's gotta be done from the town of Brookhaven, and not so much from us.
Right.
But we gotta get the Connecticut crowd, because I'm sure that's what comes over. You know, when we go out there, you'll see the portable, and I'm sure that's what's happening. I don't think.
No,
Well, town of Brookhaven's at the meetings, correct?
Yeah.
At the harbor, so
Oh,
they're
yeah.
gonna have.
So
Yes.
I will bring that.
Yeah,
to
I don't think it's
their
Village,
attention.
I don't think it's Belterre, I don't think it's Port Jeff, I don't think it's us. Or the guys in Setauket.
Oh, most likely.
It's most of these guys with the big, you know.
Absolutely.
I don't
So, well, the purpose for all the villages putting it up is
Great
just to be
idea.
uniform.
Right.
But I totally agree that for anybody from Connecticut or wherever who's gonna be applying for a mooring, to go particularly in the northwest mooring area, something like this should go along with
I'm
it,
sure
as
it's
well as the
transit.
consequences. So I will bring that up at the
I
June
just-
8th meeting. It's a great idea.
Okay.
I have a question. Yeah, I just, regarding the roads, I'm looking at the minutes from the last time the resident had a question. Is there enough money for roads and road repairs? And the answer is yes. And I think we get inconsistent information about is there or isn't there? Is there money for potholes? Isn't there? When is the money and when are the repairs to the berms gonna happen? Is that gonna happen?
That's actually, are you talking about your berm?
Yes.
Okay, because I know everyone's concerned about what's in front of their home. You're actually on the list for the spring, because we spoke to you in the fall and said we would put it onto the spring list.
Okay, thank goodness.
Spring of next
But
year.
but I'm just saying that there is inconsistency between what people say about the roads and yes, there is money, no, there isn't money. Just making a comment. So who will be appointed as the inspectors for the election?
We have a bunch of people right now. We have some people checking their schedule, and once we have the names pulled, check them out.
Okay, can we know who those names are?
I don't have them. Cindy might have them, or Joe, I don't have them.
I may be one of those names. I was communicating with Cindy. I don't know my schedule yet. I would love to do it, but I'm not sure if I'm available.
And just to put in a plug for those inspectors, because I know it's a long day, and I know that during the last election, we spent over $700 on giving our attorney money to monitor a situation regarding the, the village justice, which seemed totally unnecessary. And given that he got a lot of money, maybe you could raise the amount for the inspectors. All right. And what I wanted to also know about is we're having a lot of questions about building codes and things like, wouldn't our building inspector know about some of these issues regarding building codes, and why isn't he involved in this discussion?
I'm not sure I understand what you mean by being involved in
You
the
had a
discussion.
long discussion about the building, about the structures and what constitutes a structure and what doesn't constitute a structure, and the town of Brookhaven, and do they have our information? Like, wouldn't the building inspector be able
Well,
to
I
answer something?
think, I guess I'm gonna answer that, I'm trying not to be evasive, but yes, the building inspector I've spoken to informally about this problem of figuring out a course. The actual hammering out of a code is really not, what he would be doing is kind of like quasi-legalistic.
Right,
Actually, it's
I
actually
understand.
legal work in some aspects, and we have to figure that out. The real issue is not limited to any one of us, but all of us, because it has to do with what can we all comfortably live with, given that the state has kind of changed. And I even have the state regulation that says we have to follow the state regs. If they change, we have to change with it. And what they did was they took away the concept of replacement in kind. And for anybody who was at that meeting when we first started talking about building permits and whatever, that was probably what we spent the most time with, because most of the people, if you look around the room, most of the people here have been in the village for a while. I don't want to quite call it everybody's an old timer, but people have been here a while, and that was always an issue that was a given. You fixed up your house, you replaced, whatever, but times have changed, and so now we have to kind of go back to square one, which makes it not so easy to come up with something that we could legislate, to put into a change in our laws about how we could make it that anybody who does certain types of replacements, we're not talking about new work, anybody who replaces something, to make sure that it's safe. Because it used to be that if you replace something in kind, you could just do it. And a lot of that stuff was built terribly because the guys did it on the weekend when they came out to their summer place. So the building inspector would certainly want to be able to have it in writing, have it as part of our code, that he has the ability to go check on this stuff. So working backwards, which, by the way, I would say we all want. We all want to make sure that if somebody builds something, it's built to stand up to the load, so to speak. So the question is, if we put it into our laws, how does that play out? And if you were here for our planning meeting, were you here for that? Okay, so when you take that all the way back to where the building permit goes, and the town of Brookhaven who does the assessments and the whole thing, it starts to become more complicated, and more complicated in a way that I personally am not real comfortable with. So that's the give and take of it. So it goes beyond just one person, the building inspector.
But, and while we're on that subject, now I know the building inspector was appointed for, I think once the date he was appointed, he had 18 months in which to get his certification and take all his
to be
classes.
in training.
Yes.
He is scheduled for training.
So has that happened? Because that 18 months is come and gone.
No, it hasn't. 18 months is July 1st, and he's already scheduled for training.
Well, he was appointed by the board on November 6th of 2014. 18 months would have been May 6th.
Right, he had to be scheduled for training as of May 6th, and he is. He's in
Scheduled or completed the training?
Scheduled.
Scheduled.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, but has he completed any training so far?
He doesn't need to. He has 32 years of experience doing this, okay?
He's an architect. He's
Yes,
way more qualified, but he doesn't have this.
But I'm just saying, scheduled, you've got 18 months in which to do whatever